Hello everybody, welcome to AOR Season 15, Round 4 of the F1 2017 PC Racing League. We are here at Bahrain. We've come off the back of two pretty good races, I would say. We had China, where we got a third place, and Baku, where we got a second place, which was quite unexpected, but proven that consistency is key in certain situations when you haven't quite got that outright pace. So coming into this weekend, I was feeling pretty good. In time trials, I spent a lot of time trying to work away at getting those tenths off my lap. I managed to break into the 27s at a 27.86 as my best, which is good enough for the top 100 in the world. I was pretty pleased with that. And for this, I knew that tyre wear was likely to be more of an issue, certainly more of an issue than it was at Baku. And because of that, I was planning on doing a one-stop race, but starting on the soft compound, because that was by far the best race tyre overall, and then going on to the medium compounds at some sort of time around lap 11, 12, depending on what sort of traffic we were in. So we were seeing that we were just adjusting a bit of stuff on the brake pressure, and that was really just to avoid having some of those heavy lockups. There's a couple of braking zones on this track where you can do some serious damage to your tyres, and with the tyre wear already being a problem here, you really don't want to be doing that on a regular basis. Certainly not when starting first lap of qualifying. So we're heading out for our first lap. For this we have a setup of 19 wings with 11 ballast. That 11 ballast really helps us in sector 1 and a bit later on in the lap to really get the back of the car around for those tight corners and get it pointing in the direction that we want. So turn 1, prime example of that. So we're just trying to get some tyre temperature into the tyres, keeping them hot before we start the lap. Unlike Baku, the exit of this first corner is quite crucial. So we're just trying to come through here, 4th gear, easy on the power, get a nice drive onto the start-finish straight, opening up the DRS, we're in max fuel mixture, and coming down into turn 1. Really want to spot your braking point as late as possible, but try not to go too deep. So we're braking about 100 meter forward, down in 2nd gear, touch the apex quite nicely on the power. It's so easy to spin up the wheels here, and you can see we're just fighting the car slightly, but we've kept it in a straight line. Pretty nice through there. Down here we're going to brake just after the 100 meter board over to the left hand side of the track as far as possible, cutting back in. Don't want to clip that curb too much, and it's very easy to spin the wheels up as you go into 4th gear coming out of that corner. Through here relatively nicely, still a little bit unstable. That high ballast on this softer compound doesn't quite react as well as you would like. This setup is certainly more suited to a faster run on amazing grip tyres. So we're coming onto this straight, we've opened up the DRS again, and this corner can also be a bit tricky, braking at about 50 meter board down into 4th gear, turning in, getting a relative decent exit, sometimes early upshifting into 5th in case you start to get a bit of wheel spin from that large amount of torque, and then running out onto the curb, and we've just cut in way too early. If I'm totally honest, I don't really know why I did that. I think it was out of caution of not trying to run out too wide and being scared of the lack of grip on these tyres, and consequently we've invalidated the lap pointlessly. So our banker lap and entire strategy based around starting on these tyres has completely gone to pot. I could have tried to do another lap on these tyres, but with tyre wear being so high around here, I didn't want to already be at a disadvantage to the rest of the grid, who looked like that they were all aiming to start on super softs anyway. So we're going for another lap on the super softs at the end of qualifying. We've got a decent run onto this back straight again, coming down into turn 1. We've braked for the corner and we've run very deep. So whereas on the first lap that we did this, we actually got that done quite nicely, we've already lost quite a chunk of time, maybe 2 to 3 tenths in that first set of corners. So into turn 3, on the power again, you can see that back end is trying to come around, but we control it quite nicely, and surprisingly, by the end of that, we are up on the best sector time, but we do then run wide and miss the apex going to the next sequence of corners. Get it nicely turned in for this, trying to go out through the gears without getting too much wheel spin. Then this is the nasty double left-hander that can barely catch you out in the race. You can get some horrible lockups, and we get a lockup there, probably trying to push a little bit too hard to make up for lost time. So opening up the DRS, it's been a relatively solid lap so far, nothing too amazing. Into this corner, we do go a bit deep and we run wide, not what we want to do. We do carry speed and we don't have any wheel spin, but we will have lost more time there, about 2/10 I would suspect. Into here, no such problem second time, but instead we actually run wide on exit, so then we've lost time there as well. For some reason, that's not a corner I could hook up during this qualifying session. Into the last corner, on the brakes nice and early, clip a bit of the apex. We do run further onto the curve than we would have liked, and we come on to start finish straight, opening up the DRS for the last bit of the lap, and it's a 29.5. Really not a lap I was very happy with or impressed by, but you will see there's been a slight issue. If you're slightly observant of that situation, we are actually the only driver on this board that has our online tag, and at this point I was quite unaware of the situation and just assumed that I was the only person that decided to stay until the end of qualifying. But as time would go on to show, that was not the case. In actual fact, we disconnected from the lobby sometime during between our 2 laps. I'm not entirely sure. And as we come out of the lobby, you'll see that we have an error message. And this would be when our race would not only start to fall apart, but wouldn't even start at all. Because we would be taken back to the home screen, and apparently we are the only member of the lobby. By the time that I'd actually sorted out what was going on and realised, the race has started, and we join on lap 5 with me not participating. Unfortunately, the game hadn't even registered that I was taking part because I didn't submit a time on the first set of tyres, I believe, and because of that, when I disconnected in between, it didn't even register that a Toro Rosso had taken part in the race. So all that practice and effort would unfortunately be wasted. But we join on the battle between Wattmaster and the Renault, these two really being the main competitors for the championship so far. From what I understand, it was actually B Dave that started on pole position, with Wattmaster in second and the Renault in third. But the Renault got an amazing start, and Wattmaster, I believe, got in second position relatively quickly. As we come on to the start-finish straight, Wattmaster's got a fantastic exit and opening up the DRS, and now running side by side going down into turn 1. It can be so easy to have really difficult braking zones into here, but it's all kept nice and clean. Slight lock up, but keeps it on the track. Gets through there nice and cleanly. You will always have a slightly compromised exit through turn 2, but no such problems for the Force India driver. So on to lap 11, we continue on following the Force India as he comes into the pits to do the one-stop strategy onto the medium tyres, which really is what I think everyone was aiming to do. There is a viable 2-stop strategy of super softs onto 2 sets of soft compounds, but that really does depend on whether or not you're in clean air and have the outright pace to do so. It's not the most viable thing if you're in the mid-pack or if you're stuck in traffic. So going back, we see that the Renault's already made his pit stop, but the Force India will rejoin in the lead in front of the Renault and then behind the Ferrari, which, if you remember, was caught out in Baku last week with an incident that actually gifted us 3rd place. So on to lap 24, and it's still the Force India in the lead, followed by the Renault and then the Ferrari. And then, for some reason, Codemasters had it in for us. We disconnect from the lobby again, and what comes next is a completely false podium animation involving drivers in not the correct order. At least the right ones that were meant to be on the podium, but apart from that, everything else was wrong. And you can see progressively within the names of everyone come up as they've disconnected one by one, or realistically that we have disconnected from the lobby, so we wouldn't even get to see the full outcome of the race. But I can tell you that the winner was indeed Wattmaster with the Renault in second and Luke in the Ferrari coming in 3rd position. That would be it then for this race weekend. The 2 people in front of us have extended their lead and we have dropped position in the championship. But on to Spain next week, hopefully we should be in a better position and have a better race. So until next time, goodbye.